good morning. Um, today, today I am going to show you how to play Lorcana because the instructions are really vague, but they do follow. My brother plays Magic the Gathering, and it does follow some of the same rules, but they do have different terms, and Lorcana is much easier. So I think it's because this is aimed towards younger people because it is Disney. Then they're going to make the rules a little bit easier. So today I am playing with my green and purple deck. It's all mixed. So a lot of Lorcana decks are supposed to be two mixes of colors. So depending on what type of deck you're building, then you want to mix two colors. I play with a green and purple, and a lot of the times then decks, they are supposed to be two specific colors, I think. This one is the gold and silver deck. That's the deck my brother usually plays with. So I got all of these in a set. And I also have another deck, and that is the blue and red deck. But I actually don't know where that is. That's awful, but like I don't know where it is at all. So we usually just play with these two. If I do get another deck, then I'll be able to play it with like 4 people because I have 3 siblings that also play cards. My twin brother and our 2 little siblings all play cards. So my brother and I, or my little siblings and I, we will like 1v1 each other. But it is on my bucket list to get a 4th deck, so that way we can all play against each other at the same time, which would be fun. I do not have one of the Lorcana playing deck mats, mostly because it seems like kind of like, I'm not going to say a waste of money because like you do what you want with your money, you know, but to keep track of lore, which I'll get to that. To keep track of lore, I keep a dice on me. My brother lets me borrow his, and whenever we're playing Lorcana, then both of us have a 20-sided die to keep track of lore. Lore is basically how you win, okay? You don't win by killing the other person fully. You win by gaining 20 lore by the end of the game. Well, the end of the game is by gaining lore. So you gain 20 lore, and the lore are, need a card that has lore on it. Lore is that little diamond right there. That's your lore. Some cards have more lore than others. So they go from 1 to, I believe, 4. Yeah. This card has 4 diamonds, which means that has 4 lore. I'll tell you how to get lore in a minute. Okay, so to play the game, you start with 7 cards. You actually, instead of your deck being on your right-hand side, I think by the way that this camera is, then this looks like my left hand. This is my right hand. This is my left. Okay? Instead of your deck being at your right, your deck is at your left. I like to joke that this game favors left-handers, which I am, and none of my siblings are. So, yeah. So your deck starts at your left. I feel like this might not be the best place to film because it's kind of an uneven surface. Might need to find a better spot. Okay. To start the game, you keep your deck at your left. At your left. Okay. After I film this initial one, I'll film another one to show you the layout, okay? And you start with 7 cards. So draw 7. Oh, hold on. Okay, draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and you both determine who goes first. So you can either take a dice and roll it, or like my brother and I, instead of rolling a die, we play rock, paper, scissors because it's a little more fun, and we do best out of 3. So you pull 7, okay? And whoever goes first does not draw a card because they already have the advantage because they're going first. Whoever goes after the first person, then they draw a card, and everybody draws a card after that. So, like, then it goes back to the first person, they draw a card at the beginning of their turn. It really follows a lot of the same rules of other TCGs. So, once you draw 7 cards, I mean, you can see these right here, but, like, you know, I'll be able to show you in a minute a little more in depth of each card. Then, cards have 2 different... I drew none. I only drew ink cards. Hold on. Okay, so I believe my brother called them place cards. I'm not sure. So if you play another TCG, like Magic the Gathering, say, then your energy cards, your mana, then in this game, they're called ink. Okay? But you only get to put down 1 ink per turn in this game. Okay. So, oh, here's one. And you can only put down a certain card. So if you look at these 2 cards, in that top right corner, then this has a border. Okay. And you can look at this one. This does not have the border. See how thick that border is and that one is not? This one can be used as an ink card. Your character cards are your ink cards. Okay. This one cannot be used as an ink card, and this one you can only play as a character, not as ink. This, you put down face down, and you use that as an ink card. I'm going to put her back into the deck. I'm going to put her at the bottom, because I already looked at her. So, every turn that you play, you put down an ink card. Okay? You put down an ink, and the thing with ink, or if you're playing another game, like mana, the same turn that you put down an ink, you can put down a card, as long as it has, like, these also have little numbers. Like, that has, this has a 2, this is a 1. You need to put down the card that has the same number as the amount of ink. So, since this is only 1 ink, then you would put down a card that has only a 1 inside of its border. Okay? So, you can... So, to use the ink, then you're going to exert it. Well, yeah. Exerting in Lorcana is basically the TCG, like the... Say in other TCGs, when you tap a card to use it, you exert it in this game. That's what exerting is. Exerting is basically just tapping your card. And then you're able to put down the card that has the amount of ink that you just exerted. So you put that down. So, at this point, you don't really have much to do. Oh, hold on. Chosen character, draw a card. And each one, they also have, like, a little, like, flavor text, and, you know, obviously they have what the ability is. At this point, you would basically end your turn. Because, I mean, there's not really much you can do. Once you put down a card, then you have to wait for the ink to dry. In other words, you cannot use the card on the same turn. You need to wait a turn. So, you let the other person go, and then when it goes back to you, you unexert your energy, and then you can use that card that you put down. Okay. I feel like I'm not explaining this good. Let me change POVs. Hold on. Alright, starting over. You keep your deck to your left. You draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7. Sorry, can't help myself. Now we look at our cards. Am I using the back of the canvas? Yes. Yes, I am. Okay, so I had explained the difference between cards that you can use as ink and cards that you cannot. Do you see the difference? Yeah. These cannot be used as ink. They do not have the border around them. These have the border, so these can be used as ink. The cat just meowed. And now, so you're going to look through the ink cards, and you can decide which one can be used as ink. The ones that require 6 or 7, then those are ones that you're going to be like holding on to your whole game until you get more ink available. So while this probably isn't the best idea, then I usually go for the big ones and put those down as ink. I know that's probably not the best strategy, but like, you know, there's more in the deck, so like, yeah. So once you gather your cards, and once you put one down as ink, so we're gonna do, maybe not him, because he only has 2, 3. Maybe we're gonna turn her into ink, even though she does have a lot of lore. The ones that have more lore, then those are usually the ones that require more ink to put down, because of course. Anyway, we're just gonna use her as ink, so we're gonna put that down. And then because we don't really have any cards in our hand that only require 1 ink, then we're gonna pass our turn. And now this is where the other person, they would be putting down, they would draw a card, and then they would be like putting down their ink and all that. And if they had 1 ink, and if they had a card that only needed 1 ink to be put down, they would put that down by now. And then they would tap this to use it, to put down the card. Okay. And then it would go back to our turn. So we're going to draw another card. Do not forget to draw cards. I always forget to draw cards, and then I'm always like out of cards immediately. We just pulled Cheshire Cat. He's Storyborn. He's got some pretty good attack. This is attack, this is defense. There are some cards that allow you to add more attack to you, and there are some cards that like kind of help heal your card after you get attacked. I'll explain how to attack. Well, attacking is called challenging in Lorcana, and I'll tell you how to do that in a second. So then, we're going to look for another card to put down as ink, because the more ink you get, the quicker you are to be able to put down the bigger cards. Shuffle another chosen character card into the player's deck. That player draws 2 cards. We're going to turn that into ink. Now that we've got 2 ink, we can put down whatever card has 2. So these 2 have only 2. So in order to put down one of these, we're going to tap these. In other words, we're going to exert them. We're going to tap those. We're going to look. Let's see. Challenge. This is an action. This is a Storyborn. We're going to put down Cheshire Cat. And then you would put him down. Now, once you put down a card, then that means you used ink to put him down. So before you're able to do anything with him, you need to wait the other person's turn, and then when it goes back to you, you can use him. That is called letting your ink dry. Okay? The cards that are already in your inkwell, they do not need to dry. You can use them on the exact same turn that you put them down. These, you need to wait a turn to use. Okay? So he has 1 lore, so I'll tell you how to do that in a second. So this is where you would pass your turn on to the next person. Once they did all that, then they would go back to you. Okay. And then to ready your next turn. Once it goes back to you, then you put your ink back up, you draw a card, and then let's see who we just drew. Mulan again. Okay. That is improvise. Action. Chosen character gets +1. Oh god, what is that? Attack. Okay, yeah. Draw a card. So you can choose to either turn her into energy or you can choose to use her. Okay. Let me look at my other cards real quick. Gonna find somebody else to put down as energy, I think. Or ink. Let's see. Sword in the Stone. A lot of the Sword in the Stone characters are really good. So Madame Mim, Merlin, Arthur, they're usually pretty good. As you can see, you get 3 challengers this turn if they use that, okay? Which is really, really good. I'll explain why in a second. Beast, he has 6. We're going to use him as ink. Okay. Okay, let's see. And then you can also look through. We've got 3 ink right now in our inkwell. So we can put down anybody that has 3. So let's see. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo can exert. Return chosen character of yours to your hand to play another character with the same cost or less for free. Or choose and discard a character card. Gain lore equal to the discarded character's lore. Okay. Let's see. We also have Madame Mim. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. Rush. Okay, rushes are good because that means you can use them the same turn that they're played. So, we're going to use Madame Mim. Okay, so we're going to tap these 3. Okay, we're going to tap those. And we're going to put her down. Okay. And now this is where the dice comes in. Okay. So because this has waited a turn to be used, you can now exert him to gain lore equal to that. So you turn him, so that means we get 1 lore. Okay. Definitely keep track of your lore, because that is how you win. That is how you win, okay? Madame Mim, she can challenge the turn that they're played. Okay, challenging is when the other person has their cards already in exerted. So exerting, you can either exert them to challenge or quest. Okay? Challenge means attacking the other person. Questing is when you just turn them over to use them for their lore. Okay? So say the other character or the other player on their previous turn, they had exerted the card for any reason whatsoever. Whether it, well, because we didn't have any exerted, it would probably be so that they could gain the lore. Okay? So they would have had just quested them. In order to challenge your card and you have to be able to challenge a card that is also exerted. You cannot challenge cards that are face up on the other person. If the other person has all face up cards, you cannot challenge them. You can only challenge them if their card is exerted. So this character can challenge the turn they're played. You can either, that's because that is rush. Okay. So you can choose to challenge the other person, and then, depending on it. So, like, say they have 4, so we're going to pull a card over here. This is from my other deck, okay? So, say he is exerted on the other person, okay? Say the other person exerted him. You can choose to rush and challenge. So, we have 4. He has 4. He has 4 defense. We have 4 challenge, which means that we kill him, so then he goes to that player's. Technically, we banished him. That's the Lorcana term. But if you play other TCGs, then that would be the graveyard. Okay, and that is the other player's graveyard. Their deck would be over here. Their layout would be the exact same as ours. Our graveyard would be over here. Well, where we banish them would be. Okay. So, and then after we play our turn, then it would go to the other person, and then once they go, we would ready our cards back You can only wait until the end of the other player's turn to ready your cards, because that gives them a chance to go after any of yours and all that. And you know, you want to play fair. Okay, my cards are all over the place. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Draw a card. Let's see who we got. Croquet Mallet. Item. Banish this item. Chosen character gains Rush this turn. That's a good card. Okay. So that means that, say, we could put down... Okay, let's see. I'm going to use this as an ink. We're going to put that in our inkwell. Okay, we now have 4 in our inkwell. Okay. So that would mean that we could tap 2 to use him. Okay. Okay. And usually you would have to wait. 2 or more can exert the single song for free. Nice. Okay. Chosen character gains Challenger 3 this turn. Actually, I think I'm going to hold on to that. That's good. Okay. So then, I feel like this would be a lot easier to explain if I had another player. I might need to call my brother for something at some point. Let's see. Hold on. Do I have another one that has 2? No, but I have ones that have 3. So, let's see. Gain more equal to the discarded characters. Okay, let's see. So for 4, then we could put down this item. And basically, this allows you to exert one of your characters and exert the chosen character of someone else. So, say the other player, they had a couple of cards. Okay, so they had a couple of cards. We could put that down. We could exert one of ours. Okay. 3, 4. We're gonna exert her. And then because of that, we could go after one of these. So say they had other cards as well that they already exerted. Like, let's see. Say they had one of these already exerted. But say we don't want to go after that one. Say we want to go after this one. We could force this one to be exerted. That way we can challenge. And then that would leave that with only 1 left. Which would make it easier to exert any of our others to remove that completely. Okay. So then, once you play that, then you can basically just go through that. We're gonna quest this one, which means that we're gonna get another lore. 2. And then you basically just keep going like that, okay? So say the other person goes and all that, so they would ready their cards. Say they have ink. We would draw a card. Pinocchio. When you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. See, this is also a good one. Because basically, the green and purple deck basically forces the other person to do things that they don't want to do. Which means that you have an easier chance of winning. Okay, however, they do have a lot more chances of healing their characters and, like, helping guard their characters. So this is like an attacking deck. That's a defense deck. Okay. So, wait, hold on. I forgot to ready these at the start of my turn. Okay, let's see. Also, I feel like this is obvious by now, but your ink can only be face down. You cannot have it face up. You can't do that. It has to be face down in order for it to be ink. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna look for another card to put down as ink. I'll put this one. Okay. And then I'm gonna exert 2 to use Pinocchio. So 2. Gonna put down Pinocchio. When you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. Sure, we're gonna exert this one. And then we're gonna exert, let's see, we're gonna use one of ours to challenge. So I'm gonna use Cheshire Cat to challenge. And I'm gonna challenge that card, which means that that card is banished. Because on the previous turn, then I had attacked with 4. So now attacking with 3, then that counters their defense of 5. Okay. And of course, it all depends on the cards that your opponent plays, and whether or not they're able to heal that card. I feel like that should be obvious. Okay. So then choose and discard a character card. Gain lore equal to the discarded character's lore. Bibbidi bobbidi boo. To your hand to play another card with the same cost or less for free. Banish this item. Chosen character gains rush this turn. I'm going to challenge, or I'm going to put down 1 so I can use that. And then I am going to quest Madam Mim to gain that lore point. So 3. Now it all depends on how much your other, the other player is, challenging to gain their lore, whether or not how many lore that they have on their card. Like I said, these can go from, the lore points can go from 1 to 4. So, if you hold on to all of your cards and only put down, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, you could exert all of those at the same time to challenge, or not to challenge, to quest, and then you could, get 20 points within, the first few turns, and then that would be, and then you would win, basically. So, so like I said, you want to gain 20 lore. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this really explained a lot. I'm really not sure. I'm not the best at explaining things. But that's basically how you play. And you just keep going. And then, once you gain, a bunch of lore, 6, 7, 8, 9, ink. Once you gain a bunch of ink, then you're able to put down all of your more expensive cards, which are more likely to have more ink, or more lore that you're able to use. So, yeah. Also, yeah, like I said, the purple and green deck, I highly recommend. The purple and green deck is very offensive, on the offense, which means that this also has cards that are good for if the other player puts down all their cards and they don't have any cards in their deck or in their hand at the moment. So, yeah. So yeah, I really like this deck. It's really cool. It's very fun. Lorcana is very fun once you get the rules. They are very, very vague in the beginning. I remember it took my brother and I a lot of time to figure out the rules, because neither one of us really understood. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I still don't fully understand. I don't know. We played a game this morning, so that way we could, refresh our memory. But, yeah. That's it. I feel like I should add that, just like any other card game, then Lorcana does also have foils in holographic cards. Oh, hold on, that's a Pokemon. Look. So, yeah, let me just look through and get the, more, yeah, all of these are foils. So, keep them in another thing. I do have a more rare one, which is funny. He's a fully holographic, or a foil, I guess. I don't know if you can see that, but they do have a bit of a shine to them. You see that? They have a shine to them that the regular cards do not have. It's really hard to see on camera, I think. But yeah, some of these are. And then this one, he's like, I just don't think that you can really see that. Let me show you the more expensive one. Last I checked, he was about 100. I'm not sure how much he is now, but I have a fully holographic beast. Like, I don't think you can really. Yeah, there we go. He's inside of a card sleeve to keep him safe. Am I gonna pull him out of the card sleeve? Yes, I am. He's fully holographic. Like the whole card, even the bottom part. So he's like a full foil, where the other ones are just hollows. So, I don't know, I might have to look him up again. Yeah, I think he's really cool. He's from, I'm not quite sure actually. But yeah, we keep him safe. And I keep the hollows in a separate container than the regular cards, just to keep them safe. So yeah, I just thought I should mention that Lorcana also has hollows and foils. So it is a lot like every other trading card game you've ever played.